All right, guys, here we go. 2 episodes left. This is episode 6 of True Detective, our discussion here on What the Flick. Brett Erlich, Robert Abele, Alonso Duralde, Ben Mankiewicz. Man, this is a good program. It's good television.
This is quality stuff.
Yeah.
And you can tell this episode is all right, we're going to pause the crazy for just a second to lay the groundwork for lots more crazy.
Yeah, and to catch us up. Like all of a sudden, whatever investigation that goes on now in these final 2 episodes is Marty and Rust in 2012.
Right.
Back together again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're getting the band back together.
Yeah, the reunion tour.
Yeah, I really like that because I had just come to become, reliant on their frame story and to jumble up everything. I like when shows at some point in the middle, after very, ably creating a dynamic, just tear it apart in a way that you still have faith it's going to work really well.
Has anyone been aged better than Michelle Monaghan?
I was going to point that out.
Yeah.
That's so subtle and believable, I thought.
But it's also carriage. It's also the way she carries her body. I mean, it's a true acting feat as well.
Yeah, that's right. It's a great point. I'm glad you
But
said
the
that.
hair and makeup people are also on point.
Yeah, the soccer mom hair people.
Yeah,
for her
just with
little
a little bit of gray under her eyes, like a few sleepless nights there.
We don't have like someone's painting in gray hair because she's not the kind of person who would let that.
Let me, did she do something immoral? Like, did she commit a grave human sin? I think she did. I think she did.
It's a tricky call.
I don't know about that, but you could argue that she maybe really split up the two. I mean, they might have gone on a little bit further as partners. Obviously McConaughey has been dispirited and probably been thinking about leaving, but that was the thing that they would never have been able to stay partners after that.
She was their Yoko then.
Well, yeah, if she went after John or Paul. So. I think that Woody Harrelson had been doing the same thing to his wife that he'd been doing to Matthew McConaughey, where he was pushing the boundaries of what he was able to get away with without ruining it forever. Still having destructive behavior where he's really going after McConaughey, it seems, but he's not going to drive him away. And it wasn't until the wife decided she was going to do something that she felt she had to do. She was going to do it to a stranger. It wasn't premeditated to break up the relationship with the only other person he has a real relationship with.
Yeah, but I think the reason why I asked the question is because I get wanting to end your marriage. She's allowed to end the marriage. She's allowed to even sleep with him if she wants to end the marriage. But she can't. She did potentially grave damage it turned out, yes, grave damage to Rust, and she knew she might do grave damage to him. Involving him in that, you got to understand some of the circumstances the fallout can't just be, I need to drive the wedge that'll make Marty leave. It's got to also be, what's Rust going to do after this? And what it turns out he does is quit and drop out of society.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I mean, on the one hand, yes, it's fairly despicable on its face, but I also kind of got where she was coming from in terms of to make the total break from Hart that just cheating on him wasn't going to be enough. That it had to be with this one guy that was really the only way to do it. And unfortunately, yeah, there's a collateral damage that goes with that. But I think she wasn't doing it out of sheer malice. I think that her intentions were that just for her own weakness, that the only way that she was going to be able to extricate herself from this marriage was to have this specific sexual liaison. But yes, you're right. It does leave a wake of broken relationships, not just her own.
But I will say, it's kind of a TV scene. I mean, I don't want to say, I think the show is fantastically written and acted and all that stuff, but it is kind of, it makes for great TV. I'm not entirely sure how realistic a scene it is, but it did make for a great dramatic break. Her going to Rust and.
I thought it was because they obviously they cared for each other, and him saying no, ultimately, he would love her. I mean, that is the kind of person who he could be with.
I think it's a triumph of the show that you can take the scene that is very melodramatic, and these two actors are great. The tension of the scene is fantastic. It helps explain this thing that happens with the split up of the partnership. You could argue that based on what we know about the wife, how solid she is, that would she really do something like that?
Yeah, I don't know. And then of course, I don't remember which one of you guys said this, but it was that we don't, like, they had managed to cobble together this relationship that they have, meaning Marty and Rust. Like, it had hung together, and Marty pushing the boundaries, as you said, just as much as possible. But, like, so as crazy as Rust was, there was some chance that, and as tense as they were together, like, all Marty ever needed was one moment where the fact that he was a pretty competent police officer, despite all of his very traditional cop shortcomings, like, if he'd found one piece of evidence that suggested, no, I think we are onto something here, look at what it is, then I think all their tension melts away, and Marty would have been like, all right, well, I'm on board. Let's keep investigating.
I think you're led to believe that the real tragedy of the show is that these two detectives came apart when they should have stayed together to solve this crime. And I mean, they're the marriage of the show. I mean, they're considered the more important marriage, and that I'm assuming that the last 2 episodes are about repairing that relationship so that they can solve the crime.
Right.
Well, I remember you talked about one of the recent ones about the notion of they were just about to walk in that school.
Oh, yeah.
And they got distracted by something else. And I think, again, it's one of those things where maybe if the rift hadn't have happened in 2002, that they could have had that conversation where Russ shows him all the stuff that he's found and connect the dots for him, and then they go from there. So again, I think the sort of underlying thing is about those missed opportunities, those pivots that totally change an investigation and allow a criminal to remain free.
Marty and Rust are a married couple with a kid. Their kid is this case. They've abandoned this case. This case is like their abandoned child, and they need to come back to it in the last 2 episodes.
Have you guys been reading the what is it called? What's the real title called? Have you been going down the King in Yellow rabbit hole?
No.
We talked about it last week, but I'm maybe after this is over, I might read some of that stuff. But as our guest Adam Berry said last week, I don't want homework on this show.
Yeah.
I just want to take the show for what it's offering.
I'm not familiar with it. Is it like extra material
the
online?
King in Yellow actually comes from a short story.
1895, like, series of stories.
Sort of Lovecraftian kind of thing about the King in Yellow in the story is the name of a play that if you see all of it, it drives you mad because you understand all the darkness of the universe.
Pizzolato.
It's like the video from The Ring.
Right. But this guy's really into it, and so it's no accident. He's woven this throughout the story, and people are really into it. It's free to download the book, and the sales have gone. But like, I'm glad to hear it because I don't care. I don't want to get in that conversation. That to me totally removes my sense of reality from this. That it's written to sort of have these little triggers.
Then it turns into season 2 of Twin Peaks.
That's right. That's right.
You don't even need these literary references to understand that this is a show about looking into total darkness and being completely shaken by it and have it like affect your whole life.
Yeah, and real people. Like, you don't need to know that.
Yeah.
Do you think that we're going to get at first, based on that first episode or the first or second episode when they bring in the task force, the anti-Christian crime task force, and Rust is like, oh, for the love of God, what the fuck, right? And the way that
I don't think you would have phrased it for the love of God.
Yeah, right. And going back to reality in West Memphis 3 and the devil worshipping era, or what we perceive to be, but we might actually get devil worshipping here. Like, this may not be a devil worship red herring. It may be real.
Or something else. I mean, those schools could be recruitment for heaven knows what. You know.
Yeah, I don't know. I like that it is, but now all of a sudden it seems like, not that it would be an anti-Christian crime, but like the idea of the task force in there, it actually might not have been such a terrible idea. It was
Except
bigger.
Like this guy was in it.
Except that it was designed.
Of course. But I mean, it was bigger than just this. I mean, in that sense. Because the guys, the 3 officers who show up, they're just like, hey, we're great, we're on task force. We've got task force to tail.
Well, and there's that whole conversation about whether or not McConaughey was, or Cohle was manipulating the investigation from within. But now here we have this guy who is an insider and who's also potentially being implicated in the crimes, and maybe he's the sleeper agent in all this.
I think, and it turns out Gilba and Papania, right? Those are the current cops. They might be. They were there. They're fucking missing it. They're missing it.
They're also suspect to me. They might be suspect to me in terms of they're trying to find out how close these people they're interviewing are to actually solving the crime that they're part of covering up.
What if their job is to, like they've been told
To
by
root them out,
to pin it all on Matthew McConaughey for once
that's what it
and
sounds like.
for all.
Right, what if Tuttle and all of a sudden, so maybe whoever's the bosses now are like, shut Rust Cohle down.
And whether they then afterwards go put on their, yellow king in yellow hats or whatever, or if they're just going home to their
alien heads.
Right, or if they're just going back to their job knowing that someone has given them an assignment and a lead and pointed them in
This
that
guy's
direction.
digging up trouble that doesn't do anybody any good. Crime solved. He's just trying to bring good people down. Shut him down. That's it. Interesting. I'd like to think not, because they seem earnest.
Right.
Although suddenly now, but suddenly now, like for the first time, I'm like, okay, now you're a little incompetent.
The one thing I don't believe, and you do see this in blogs, is that some people are starting to think that Woody Harrelson, that Marty is like behind all that. I'm like going, no.
Well,
no.
yes, exactly. But that's one of those things where this is a dynamic in television shows where it's a whodunit, where everyone has to at some point implicate every single character, so that later it's like Final Jeopardy when you're like, Strait of Gibraltar, no, Japan, no, South Africa. I had it. I said South Africa.
Or like these movies, like what was that movie last year? Now You See Me, where basically they, it just became the most ridiculous solution at the end, where they just picked somebody from random and said that person's the mastermind. It's like going, okay.
But we do know one person who isn't it, without question, is Rust. Like, I don't know whether if you're watching it casually, you might think, oh, I wonder, but I mean, it's not. Like the guy who killed himself, we think, was like, I know you, and these killings are still going on. He didn't be like, there was no like, I know it's, there's no ambiguity there. There's no, and of course, then why does, and he's going and he finds it.
But you've also had enough scenes with Woody Harrelson by himself to know that it can't be.
It can't be. It can't be. Right.
If it is, that would disappoint me.
It would disappoint. It would be very disappointing.
That's the Now You See Me ending on behalf of the writer.
Because then you have to backtrack and go, wait, well, then why did he and how come and why would he
that's how good a writer I am.
It's some big guy, although the big guy that the girl was talking about might have been the guy who blew himself up while trying to flee.
Run away.
He was big enough but it's some guy with a face.
Right.
Right.
And the reason it can't be these two is because at the end of this episode, when you see those two talking in 2012 for the first time, it's a great moment. You've lived 6 episodes for this moment, these two that have been through so much, possibly getting back together again, and you're thrilled by it.
I think I missed something now. I'm curious now whether Marty's gun at the end, taking out the gun at the end, was he putting the gun back away? Did he take it out and we didn't see it for when Rust came to the car?
He doesn't want to shoot this guy. He knows he's pissed off, and the last thing he wants to do is shoot this guy. So he's like, this is when he goes out into the parking lot?
No. At the very end of the show, the last scene, in fact, or just about the last scene, the last shot, definitely the last scene, Rust comes over and it's like, let's get a beer, you buy me a beer, and then we see Marty doing something with his gun, and I initially thought keeping it near him, making sure it's loaded so that
his head has just been filled with these two cops that this guy might be a killer. Right. So he's just not taking any chances. I mean,
but now I'm starting to think it's the other way, that actually what we didn't see was he had his hand was on his gun when Rust came to the car, and then now he just had, let's go get a beer and talk about this, and now he's like, I can put it where it normally goes. Like, he didn't. Yeah. Rust is crazy, but Rust isn't dangerous.
Right. It's strange because from his perspective, who knows how much Woody Harrelson's been thinking about this over the last 10 years or whatever, however long it's been. But it's just a weird dynamic of he just relived it all. What for us is 8 weeks, what for him was maybe 2 hours.
That's right. Yeah.
And so that's a strange dynamic that I think they handle.
How great are guys, like these guys who have this intense relationship for 7 years. One of them sleeps with the other guy's wife. They have, the degree of intensity in their relationship is nothing that any of us have likely ever had. And then he sees him the first time in 12 years. Right, 10 years, he might be a killer. He might have, right, he's like, did you do something different with your hair?
By the way, speaking of the whole 2 hours thing, I did hear something recently. An actor friend of mine who knows somebody connected with the show said, like, Matthew McConaughey's scenes, his modern day interview scenes, they shot that in 1 day. for all the episodes that are involving him, they rehearsed it like a play and shot all that in one day.
Is that right?
Matthew
Cutting up
McConaughey's
the
doing
can
so
and all
well.
that
The
stuff.
whole
One day.
the whole
Wow.
modern day interview that's been taking place over 6 episodes or 5 episodes was all shot in a day.
But to be fair, Matthew McConaughey spent like 2 or 3 years learning how to make those little cutouts. Right?
He's been doing that
Yeah.
for decades.
Method.
Oh man, I don't know. There were so many things that were so powerfully good. That her great line about, Rust is a good man and he knows who he is, and then Marty doesn't know, but then like almost ruining her perceptivity with the her perceptiveness with the line about, with Marty. Marty's biggest problem was he didn't know who he was. And then she says, "But I'm a big enough woman not to let that. I'm a big enough person not to let that
Well,
bother
that's
me
the
for
whole
10 years."
thing is, also, what does she instantly do is go ruin Rust's integrity. She just gets rid of that. She proves, and what I thought when she went and did her whole thing with McConaughey is she's proving that she's more like Woody Harrelson than like
Right.
Matthew
Because
McConaughey.
Even him not leaving the force, like if he'd stayed on, it was going to come out then because she told Marty that so this guy who's already got trouble, already can't make a friend on the force, made one and then ruined that relationship with that one, is now going to be known as the guy who fucked his partner's wife. I'm going to guess that doesn't go over well with those guys. I'm going to guess that's frowned upon. Last week, did you all talk about how whether Woody Harrelson handled I guess it was this week actually, taking care of those kids.
Oh,
we were introduced to it last week, but it was this week, yeah. Again, in a sense, I found myself thinking that was exactly dealt with as it ought to be dealt with.
Like, this is how they should do it in the law.
In the law.
Is it should be like, listen, I'm going to just beat the shit out of you.
Right, I generally...
You're going to be a great parent.
Yeah. No, but normally I'm not on the police brutality side. But the flip side, he put on gloves. But what do you?
To leave no prints, I think.
But what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to actually charge these guys with statutory rape, make your daughter testify in front of her classmates and her friends like this. When we know what their lawyers are going to say, which was that she was.
Well, he's not supposed to be near those guys at all as somebody too close to the case.
I know.
I just think that's how the police works.
But so what you're going to do then is be like, okay, well, we're letting it go. But I would like to beat the shit out of these guys just for a couple minutes. I normally would have been.
Worked out a bargain.
Right.
No jail time, but.
Just
I'm
between
gonna
yourself.
collapse your lung.
Yeah.
So good.
I don't know, man. There were so many. The daughters, man. Oh, Jesus. And then you felt like, is it because Marty's not around the house, or is she just a bad seed? Was it already because Marty's not around the house that she takes her little sister's crown, throws it up, gets it stuck in the tree?
Who can say?
The thing I liked, the touch that is her coming in, Michelle Monaghan coming in and noticing that the laundry's going, and that's the trigger for her. It's like, when would he be doing?
I was going to say, that's guilty.
How about date night, honey?
Yeah, if you're a cop and that happens, you gotta go pour blood all over your clothes. Be like, oh no, it's not mine. Long story. Let's just get these washed.
And I like that in the break room at the office, there's
Honey, you
coffee
never
and
saw
blood
this.
for that person. Sorry, rough time. We all saw The Wire. It's hell on us, isn't it?
Did you fuck that 18-year-old again? Yeah.
And of course, to have an actress on the show who's going to be super naked, we have to bring in somebody from Cinemax. That actress she's on Banshee.
Oh, is she on Banshee? I just started watching
That's
Banshee.
right.
Yeah.
How did you? How far before she said the words anal sex did you know she was going to say the words anal sex? It was about 12 seconds for me. I think it was about that for most people.
Once I could tell she was trying to keep him on the line, it's like, okay, what's the gambit here? Oh, I know.
All right. And so she kind of
Well, that's
pivoted.
funny because I thought she was going to ask him to go to the Arboretum with her. I did not see that one coming.
There's a revival of Pippin in New Orleans, and let's go into the city. Yeah. All right. Well, what else do we got? Anything else that we're missing that we need to be talking about here?
Good fist fight, but their fight at the end was really
Just
good.
the pushing
I
onto
know.
the concrete
Yeah.
onto the asphalt, whoa,
And then
that's
off the car, and then my wife saw this wonderfully.
Noticed that
So he gets thrown Marty comes at him and Russ throws him into the car and it breaks the taillight and
Last shot of
10 years later
taillight's
he
still
didn't fix it.
broken.
Still broken.
Wow, I did not even notice
Yeah,
that.
Yep.
yeah, it was good stuff. Yeah.
Gosh, they're so
They
good.
bring this stuff back.
Yeah.
I don't
Anyway,
want it to end. You know?
I know it's so
Ghost
good, right? Two more and theoretically, yeah. But and of course we got Tuttle back, and we knew we
No, I know.
we
That's
knew
a
we
good
would.
scene,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't pull J.O. Sanders out of the drawer in Act 1 and not
Right,
fire him in
exactly.
Act 3.
After all he did to ruin those lovable sports teams in 1990s movies. He was always like the bad announcer in Little Giants. Let that win.
Was he the owner of something? He was also in. I think he wasn't he in.
He was in like Angels in the Outfield.
in
He was the
Angels in the
announcer.
Outfield.
I always think of him as the mean priest in Heaven Help Us, but that's dating me to the 80s. You know.
Well,
He was in what's the Jim Belushi, Linda Hamilton movie that I love?
Mr.
Mr.
Destiny.
3000?
Mr. Destiny.
Mr. Destiny.
I think he might have been. I
Mr.
love-
D3000's the Cedric the
Oh, right,
Entertainer,
sorry,
I
yes.
think. Or
No,
Bernie
Bernie
Mac.
Mac.
Bernie
Mr.
Mac.
Bernie
Sorry.
Mac, yeah. Whatever, Fred.
Way to go, Sam Rubin.
All right. Well, on that note, that was good. It's great, man. It's so good. I definitely don't want it to end, and every moment is great. And I'm glad, but the the way they look so markedly different in 95, 02, and 2012.
Yeah, no, that has been really well done.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously McConaughey's at an extreme in 2012, but yeah, the little subtle things, like you always know when you're watching.
Yeah, I mean, but you're right. The 95 to 2002 is like really well done.
Yeah, I just watched Two for the Road again this weekend. It was showing at Cinefamily on the big screen, and there's like 5 different car trips in that movie, and you always know which one they're on with a minimum of clues. And so if you can do subtle jumps like that, it's a cool.
I believe it's Stanley Donen's son, Josh,
Oh, yeah.
who's working on House of Cards.
It is, yeah.
And when I was interviewing Stanley Donen in front of a big crowd, his cell phone rang, and I thought, it's my fucking cell phone. I'm up here for TCM, and I didn't turn up my goddamn cell phone. But no, it was Stanley Donen's.
Really?
He was getting interviewed, and he was like, "Oh, it's my son Josh. Just a minute." Hello, Josh. Hello. I'm getting interviewed. Really? It was great.
So there's a Donen on that show. There's a Mankiewicz on that show.
That's right.
It's
That's
like
right. Donen and Mankiewicze on
Wow.
that show.
John's was a really good episode of House of Cards, the one I watched recently.
I'm only 2 in.
All right.
I think he wrote 3. I think.
Or one of them that I just noticed, the written by. I was like, this is a markedly good episode.
He's a good writer. Okay, thanks everybody. We'll be back next week.